Good morning, everybody. We'll get started right on time. I'm Lisa. I teach at Living Legacy Pilates Studio. Unfortunately, I was talking with Beth, one of my clients. I don't have any pamphlets or anything to give out today, but you can find us at Living Legacy Pilates. I'm here to talk today about Pilates and to explain a little bit of the history and answer questions, and we'll also do a little bit of movement if you feel open to that. Just a little bit about me. Let me go into our Meet the Team. And I'll bring up my little profile here. So I came to Pilates about 13 years ago as a client, suffered with low back issues, SI joint dysfunction. My back would go out 6 to 8 times a year from the time that I was 27. And I woke up one day, couldn't get out of bed, didn't know what I did. And I would deal with that pain for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, miserable, where you got to kind of walk real careful. You can't bend over to put your shoes on. All those things. Maybe you've experienced the same things. Well, I went through physical therapy. That kind of helped, but didn't really educate me much on anything. And then my back would continue to go out. Came to Pilates, and after being a client for a while, just one day a week, my back got to the point where maybe it would go out once a year, maybe twice a year. That was a huge improvement. Then I decided, this is great stuff. So I decided to learn to teach. I went through a training program about 7 years ago. We are a training studio, so all the instructors that work there, even our owner was trained through the studio. And once I started going through the training and really doing Pilates a lot, my back never went out. Well, then I started teaching a lot and not doing Pilates for my body, then I had more back issues. So anybody here besides Beth, anybody try Pilates? Wonderful. Anybody, do you two in the back know about Pilates? Nope? Well, good. So we have a little bit different experience. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. I'll talk slowly while they get settled. So I was just giving a little introduction for those of you coming in. Just a little bit about Pilates, how I interpret Pilates. I feel that Pilates is like a user manual for your body that nobody ever gave to you. Our bodies are basically made up of a whole bunch of different puzzle pieces. We have muscles and bones and organs and blood vessels and all sorts of different tissues inside of our body that all work together as a system. And a lot of times we're very disconnected from our bodies. Our minds are being pulled outside of our bodies with responsibility, computers, social media, TV, the news, all the things that pull us into our environment. Pilates is a way to take your mind into your body so you become, actually I'll give you one of my favorite Joseph Pilates quotes, Pilates will teach you to be in control of your body as opposed to at its mercy. So I think that's pretty important. So a little bit about my history and how I feel my imbalances kind of created throughout my life. When I was almost 3, my big toe was cut off in a bicycle chain. And when our bodies are out of balance, the rest of the body will compensate. So over the years, I feel that all that imbalance on my right side migrated up to my issues that I mentioned that led me to not getting out of bed. So coming to Pilates, I've learned how to take my body and all the pieces and parts and make sure I can put them in the best possible alignment to create the best possible mobility, much like a car. If your car drives out of alignment for a while, you can do that for a while, but eventually it's going to wear down and then it's not going to operate. Body is no different. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Pilates, just to kind of go into this a little bit. Let me get this popped up here. So a lot of people don't realize that Pilates actually started over 100 years ago by a man named Joseph Pilates. He was a German citizen. And he was actually in England at the start of World War I, and he was scooped up and put into an internment camp. And we'll get into a little bit more of that. So he spent 4 years developing a lot of his method when he was in England. But a lot of people don't realize it was a man that started it. So what we'll talk about today is originally Pilates was not called Pilates. After his death in 1967, that's when the name kind of changed from Contrology, which is what he called his method, the art of controlling the body with the mind. We'll talk about him a little bit. We'll talk about his early life and influences. We'll talk a little bit about how he developed his method, his move to the US, and some of the core principles of Pilates, some fun facts, the global impact, and then we'll also move our bodies a little bit if everybody's open for that. So, who is Joseph Pilates? He was born in the late 1800s in Germany. He was a physical trainer. He was a circus performer. He was a boxer. When he grew up, he was actually very sickly, rickets, rheumatic fever, and I'm not sure what else, asthma, those things. His father was a circus performer and also a boxer and a gymnast. And because of that, he basically, as a young child, was striving to improve his health, to increase his strength, to increase his connection to his body so that he wasn't in pain and so that he could actually be physically strong and active and enjoy his life. So that's kind of how that started to evolve. He was also what I would call a fitness pioneer. So the Pilates method is, as I mentioned, a mind-body exercise system. It is great for blending strength, flexibility, and controlled movement. So not only the physical body moving, but the mind telling the body and controlling the body and intentionality with the movements. I firmly believe that his vision transformed the fitness industry. Much of it happened after his death, like I mentioned, in 1967. And since then, things really blossomed and took off, especially in the recent 20 or 30 years. So as I mentioned, he was born in Germany. I cannot pronounce that name, so I'm not even going to try. Asthma, rickets, and rheumatic fever. As I mentioned, his illness inspired a lifelong quest to achieve perfect health and physical balance. He did study anatomy. He practiced yoga, martial arts, skiing, diving, gymnastics, all these things. And again, the mental focus is what he felt were important. Just a few images up here. This is him well into his 80s doing some of the exercises that we still do today. Here he is down here teaching one of his clients. This is him at age 57, which is just about 6 months older than what I am today. This was him when he was 82. So practicing his method, you see how physically strong he was able to keep his body, his alignment, he's upright. He looks well put together, better than most 20 or 30-year-olds that we see walking around today. And speaking of that, I mentioned, what do we have? I've got 2 devices up here. So we all spend a lot of time like this, right? Pulling us forward. And especially our younger generation now, they're all really pulled forward into devices. So Pilates would be great for them. I'd love to get it into the schools. So as I also mentioned, he was interned in World War I. He was interned for 4 years. And during that time, he was in 2 different locations. And he worked with the other people that were interned to help them stay physically fit. He developed mat routines, and they would do morning exercises together. He also worked as a nurse in some of the hospitals in the internment camps. So he was helping to rehab soldiers that had been injured during the war. Some of these people couldn't get out of bed. Maybe they had lost a leg or lost an arm. And with his vision back then, he was looking at the hospital bed, and he realized there's springs on the bottom of the hospital bed. And in his mind, he was a visionary in my opinion, he chose to take the springs from the bottom of the bed and affix them to the top of the bed. So people who couldn't get out of bed could still exercise with resistance. And we still use some of that same type of apparatus today. One of my clients right up here can tell you all about it. So what you see here in this middle picture, this was called the bednasium, basically a bed that was like a gym. And you see there's the frame up here on the top, and he's got springs with a bar, and that gives resistance, kind of like weight training, but a little different with the spring resistance. This then evolved into what we now know as the Cadillac, and it's not a car, but there's got a lot of bells and whistles. And then he also developed apparatus equipment such as the reformer. There's a Wanda chair, spine correctors, large barrels, electric chair, and all sorts of other things. He held, 100 patents or more, and a lot of it was exercise equipment. He had something for every part of the body. Some of the things we still use actively in the studio. There's a neck tensometer. There is toe correctors, so devices that you put on your toes to strengthen your feet that connect up to your hips, all sorts of things. A breathalyzer to improve your breath control. And that was very important to him. He understood the power of breath because of how he rehabbed his body from the asthma and the other diseases that he had as a child. As I mentioned, he called his method Contrology, emphasizing the control, the precision, breathing, and concentration rather than brute strength, which I think is very important. I actually kind of look at Pilates as like a recipe. It's not a matter of do you hold a lot of strength in your body, it's a matter of what you have, knowing how to use it and using the right things at the right time. So a little more history about him. In 1926, he came to the United States. On the ship, he met his wife, Clara, and she stayed with him until his death in 1967, and then she carried on his work for several years until she ended up basically giving his life's work to another instructor named Romana, but we'll talk about that in a moment. So they opened the Pilates studio, and he ended up getting in contact deeply with a lot of dancers. So George Balanchine, who is very well known in the dance world, as well as Martha Graham, they ended up sending dancers to Joe Pilates. If they had an injury, instead of sending them for surgery or for the doctors to care for them, they would say, go see Joe Pilates. He's going to help you. He's going to help rehab your body. And he would do that. He became renowned for building strength without creating a huge amount of bulk, which I know is important for a lot of people. They want to have the long, lean bodies without feeling like they're walking around like a giant bodybuilder. And over time, he started working with a lot of actors, athletes, and other people in New York. He stayed in New York City until his passing. Throughout his whole development of his process, we have 6 principles of Pilates, and they all really are geared towards the mind-body connection. So we have concentration. It starts with the mind. You have to think about what you want your body to do, and then tell your body, connect with your body, and make it do that. That way then we're not moving mindlessly. I can walk over here and pick up something off this table and not even think about how I'm doing it, and I just reach and go and move. And we do that a lot. We have a lot of just automatic responses in our day. This teaches you to think about the movement as you go. Control, again, you concentrate, therefore you will control your body. That's your intentional movement. We don't try to use a lot of momentum with Pilates. In fact, we try to engage deeply from our core muscles. We call it the powerhouse. Centering is drawing the awareness to the center of the body, the very middle of the body, basically from the base of the rib cage, middle of the ribs, down to the middle of the thighs, front, back, and sides. That's what we consider our core, not just your stomach and abdominals. So that's also very, I guess, a different way to think about the body. Then through the controlled, thoughtful, intentional movement, then you can become more precise with your movement. And the more you practice, the more your movement becomes precise, and the more you don't have to think about the movement. It just becomes a way that you move your body. Then there's the addition of breath, which is very important. As I mentioned previously, our bodies are put together kind of like a mechanical system with the bones and the muscles, the way they move very mechanically. But all those systems are also built on hydraulics. We have blood, we have other fluids in the lymphatic system coursing through our body. Our fascia, which is our connective tissue that ties everything together inside our bodies, that is even fluid filled when it's in its healthy hydrated state. So again, we're very much like a car with the hydraulics, the pneumatics, the physical moving pieces and parts. Then we have flow. Flow is a really complicated thing to try to convey to somebody. Flow can mean a couple of things. It can mean the movement of a full series of exercises from start to finish, never stopping the movement, never ending the movement. It's just continuous. But flow also refers to the engagement of the core muscles, sending that energy through the body, through the extremities, creating movement, and then the extremities also sending input back into the core on how to stabilize the body and how to move the body in a healthy way that doesn't create pain. So these 6 principles today are still the foundation of the modern Pilates practice, that started again over 100 years ago. So just in some of these pictures up here, you can see this is the original old school reformer up here. This is another image of the reformer and here doing several different types of exercises. The one in the center here, this is a very interesting image. The woman that he is standing on her stomach, she was a coloratura with the New York Opera. And there's actually a news article that we have framed. It was hanging in the old studio. We haven't put it up in the new studio. But there was an article, I believe it was in Life magazine back in the 50s about this. And her abdominal wall was so strong and engaged that he could stand on her stomach and she could still breathe and still do everything that she needed to do because she was so strong through here. I just think that's just a really cool picture. I mean, he's kind of big and beefy standing on her delicate little frame. So just a few what I think are fun facts. He called his system Contrology, as I mentioned. Pilates became common after his death. He was very much about whole body health. We hear a lot in modern day about holistic medicine, holistic treatments, holistic movements, somatic things. All of those things are kind of the trend that we're moving towards in fitness and in movement these days. He was doing this over 100 years ago. I think I mentioned the word visionary a little bit ago, and he really was ahead of his time, in my opinion. He practiced his own method well into his 80s. He passed, I believe he was 87 years old, maybe 88, somewhere around there when he died. And he believed that physical fitness is the first requisite of happiness. And I kind of agree with that. We can hold a lot of emotions in our body, you know, if we're sad or if we're feeling a little let down. What do? We kind of shrink into our bodies a little bit. If we're proud, you know, we kind of lift our chest up and we want to open to the world. And so a lot of those types of things can really show in somebody's body and how they hold their body, especially after patterning over a lot of years. Let's go here. So his legacy that he left behind really didn't get crazy popular until after his death. That happens a lot of times with artists and visionaries throughout history. He did evolve, or it did evolve into a worldwide movement practiced by millions and millions of people all over the world. We'll talk a little bit about the organization that I was trained through here in just a moment. Physical therapy uses concepts that was developed in Pilates. It's going to help give you the best possible alignment and help you recover from injury, surgeries, all sorts of other things, disease. It can improve your posture, and as I've mentioned, posture is key. If I'm walking around like this, you know, my body's sinking into itself. If I have better posture, my body has the ability to move more free. As I mentioned before, I mean, his original equipment designs are still used today. He has influenced sports science, modern physical therapy, yoga-inspired fitness programs, all sorts of things. And the method continues to grow, and it has branched out into more contemporary versions of Pilates that really kind of focus on his original core principles, but take it into the more modern science and the more modern understanding of the body and the body systems, which I think is pretty cool. So we're going to do a little movement together. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can do seated. Before we do that, I do want to talk a little bit about Ramana. Ramana Krzyzanowska was a dancer that George Balanchine sent to Joe back in the 30s, 1930s. I want to say probably 37 or 39. She was a ballerina. She's about 16 or 17 years old, dancing with George Balanchine, and she had a little issue with one of her ankles. And she was worried she'd never be able to dance again. She was worried that she was going to have to go have surgery, and so George sent her to go see Joe Pilates. Well, her first occasion to meet Joe, she came out of there and she was like, that guy, I don't like him, and she just didn't understand. But she kept going back, and she grew to love the work. She grew to love the man. She worked with him throughout his next 30 years until he passed in 1967. She was trained to teach. She worked in the studio. She then also went down to Brazil and taught down there, started her family, and then eventually moved back to the States and took over, I don't know the exact year, I want to say in like 1972, maybe 4 or 5 years after Joe died. Up until that point, his wife Clara had taken over his work, but when she got to be a little more frail and couldn't, really do the work the same way, that's when Romana ended up taking over Joe's life's work. So Romana taught all the way up until, I believe she passed maybe in 2013. She was also well into her 80s. And the organization that branched out of Romana Krzyzanowska is called Romana's Pilates International. Her daughter, Shari, is in charge of the organization. Her granddaughter, Daria, is also a leveled instructor and basically the president of the organization. And our organization is in over 40 countries throughout the world. And so you can find us all over the place. So it has really blossomed. That's just our one organization. There are other organizations, Peak Pilates, there's Kane School of Pilates, there's Stop Pilates. I could go on and on and on, but it's all over the place. And I think it's kind of crazy to think one person started this whole trend. So coming up under Romana's Pilates, it was a long training program. It took me about 18 months to get through my training. So we're very, very specific about how we work the body. We're interested in teaching the body in front of us and not just teaching to the masses. So that being said, looking around the room, we know we have a lot of different experience levels. We have a few more people here than when we first started. So just by a raise of hands, who has tried Pilates before? I was gonna say I recognize a couple people. Of those of you who have not tried Pilates, very different body profiles, different heights, different ages, different body shapes and sizes. But guess what? If you have lungs, you can do Pilates. So let's do a little bit first. If everybody's good standing up, just stand up real quick right in your space. And we're just gonna kind of connect into the bodies a little bit. So I want you to stand with your feet either hip width or maybe just a touch wider than your hip width. Find a spot that's comfortable for you. And if you have to look down, you might have to look down at your feet. Make sure your toes are pointing forward. Your arches and your heels and your ankle bones are lined up. Now, as you're standing tall, just draw the awareness to your feet. Your feet are really important and they connect all the way up through the body and really give us a lot of input about how we move throughout our bodies. So just notice how they feel under your feet. Notice how they connect the ground. And notice the space between your feet and the ground where your arches are. So the arch of your foot actually creates a little spring sensation. So when we walk, when we run, it's supposed to absorb a little shock and prevent that impulse from going up in the body. Now, as you're drawing the awareness of your arches, feel like you can lift that arch up off of the ground a little bit, like you're trying to pull it all the way up through your body. And then take your body's awareness to your ankle bones. They're like 2 more little domes that you're going to lift up and stack right over the arches of your feet. And then draw the awareness to your knees, 2 more little domes that you can stack up. And then your hips, where your legs come into your hip socket. Again, 2 more domes that you want to stack right over your knees. And then we have our rib cage and our diaphragm. Again, 2 more domes that stack right over those hips. Then we have our chest and shoulders. Again, 2 more domes that we stack over the ribs. Then the head is the final dome, chin over the chest, head on top. And then as you're standing nice and tall, pay attention to the back of the body. Notice how the muscles on the back of the body support the spine from the back. They help you lift a little taller. Then you have the waistline on the front that really pulls up, belly button into your spine, kind of gives you that lifted feeling. We have our obliques on the side of our body that kind of squeeze in a little bit and give us that really nice, solid, packed-in feeling. So this is just a little awareness of where your body is and how your body feels. Now we're going to do some things seated. So that was just a little mental snapshot. So now have a seat. Find a spot a little closer to the front edge of your chair to where you can still feel like you're supported through your hips And hopefully everybody's long enough you can put your feet on the ground. So we're going to do a couple things first just to kind of check in with the body. And without too much cueing, we're just going to kind of, again, take a little mental snapshot. So as you're sitting there, just turn your head, look over the right shoulder, and then come back to the middle. And now turn your head, look over the left shoulder, and then come back to the middle. We're going to do that again. Look to your right, and you're just noticing, and then turn the head, look to the left. And we'll do that one more time. As you turn the head, just notice how far you can turn your head. Don't try to force it, just notice where it goes. Center, and then turn again, look to the left, and center. Now we're going to try to take this into more of a Pilates way to do this. So as you're sitting there, nice and tall in your chair, press your feet and knees together. That feels comfortable in your body. As you're pressing your feet and knees together, squeeze those inner thighs. You can feel, try to push the heels together a little bit, and notice how that kind of activates the hips, activates the thighs. You can feel it up more in the legs. So now as you're squeezing, pull the belly button into your spine and try to sit up as tall as you can. Take your hands either to the side of the chair or to the front edge of the chair. Push the hands into the chair so you can sit up even taller. Now with that nice lifted spine, turn your head to the right again. Come back to the middle. Sit up tall, push through those arms a little bit, and turn your head to the left. And then come back to the middle. Sit up really tall, pull the chin away from the chest just a little bit, and you're going to turn, look to the right, and center, and now turn and look to the left, and center. We'll do one more. We did 3 before, we'll do 3 now. Sitting as tall as you can. Are you turning your head more this time? Does it feel different in the body? And then one more to the left, and then center, and then relax. Anybody notice anything different with how far their neck could rotate? So if you think about our spine, I'd have to do the math. I don't like to do math. But your spine comes up about to your mustache level, all the way to the back of the skull here. 28 bones, however many bones there are. If those bones don't have a lot of space between them, there's not going to be a lot of mobility. So what we did first by turning the head without engaging those core muscles, you kind of saw, okay, I can turn my head, but then once you created that space through the spine from the core muscles, you had more mobility, more freedom of movement in the neck. And that is the underlying theme of all of Pilates that we do. So we're going to do a few more things. So I want you to, again, find those thighs together. Squeeze them really deep. Lift up nice and tall. And now try not to change the length of your spine. Lift your shoulders into the ears. And then as you pull them down, try to lift your chest a little higher. Lift the shoulders up. And then as they pull down, lift the spine. We'll do that one more time. Pull up and down. So there's also opposition in Pilates. If something pulls down in the body, something else can go the opposite way. And that's kind of what you feel when those shoulders pull down, and it helps you sit up a little taller. Makes that spine longer, gives you more space. So now, keep your spine long, squeeze your thighs, belly button to the spine, lift the shoulders and roll them back and around. Lift, roll them back and around. We'll go one more that direction. Feels good, doesn't it? Now pull them back, lift them up, and roll them forward. Pull them back, lift them up, and roll them forward. Pull them back, around and forward. Yeah, because where do we spend so much time? We spend so much time here. Those shoulders get tight forward, and then this gets all rounded, and that hurts too. So now getting that alignment, it's like, oh, I can move my shoulders. So we're going to take it a little more into the neck. Sit up tall, squeeze, push the hands into the chair. Now you're going to look over the right shoulder. Nod your chin down, and then keep your spine long as you roll the chin across the front of the chest. Look over that left shoulder. Bring the head up and look forward. Now sit up tall. Look to the left. Keep your spine long. Roll the chin down the front of the chest. Look over that right shoulder. Lift the head and look forward. Feels so good, doesn't it? We're just going to keep moving down the body a little bit. So now we're going to do a little bit with the arms. So using the arms here gives you the ability to sit up a little taller. See if you can keep that same length and reach your arms forward. And now as you press your arms down, think about pressing them down from your back. So you feel the big muscles on the back nice and strong as you reach down. And that might help you lift your chest and open a little more. Take an inhale, reach the arms forward. Now as you press down, exhale, pull that belly button deeper to the spine. Sitting taller, one more time. Big breath in, reach the arms forward. Exhale, getting taller through the body. And we're going to transition into some arm circles. Pay attention to your own height of the circles. Some people have healthier shoulders and can reach up higher. If you don't have healthy shoulders, keep it at shoulder height. So you get to be the judge of what works for you. So as you reach your arms forward, pull the shoulder blades down the back, then open to the side and pull down and get taller through the spine. Yeah, make sure you have a little bit of room. Don't poke anybody in the head. Reach forward, circle to the side, press down, exhale, getting taller. You can use your breath to make your body longer. One more big breath in, circle to the side, press down, exhale. Now we'll do that in the reverse. Stay nice and tall, keep those core muscles engaged. Inhale the arms to the side, push them forward, and exhale, lift your chest to the ceiling. Big breath in, reach the arms to the side, circle forward, exhale, lift your spine taller. One more time, big breath in, reach, circle around, exhale, and then relax the body. So that can feel like a lot to get the spine open and extended like that because we spend a lot of time coming forward. So now we're going to round the spine forward, but we're going to do it very particularly. So sit up as tall as you can. Wrap your hands around your waistline. Now as you're here, nod your chin down to your chest, and you're going to bring your shoulders a little forward, and you're going to roll down over your arms. And as you roll forward, try to pull the belly button away from your arms to stretch your back a little bit. Now as you're leaning forward, pull the belly button into your spine, squeeze your thighs a little bit, and use those abdominals to push your spine back up one vertebra after the other until you lift your chest, the shoulders pull down, and the head comes up. Beautiful. Now, if everybody has a little room behind their chair, actually, I will just grab my chair here. I don't know if you all can see me or not with some of the chairs in the way. We're going to take that same round spine, and now we're going to take our bodies back a little bit. So sitting with those knees together, sit up nice and tall, wrap around your waistline again. We're going to make a C curve with your spine. It's kind of what we did before. So you're going to let your chin fall towards your chest, try to pull the belly button away from your arms. Now it's going to kind of curl your tailbone under, and the top of the spine goes forward. Now with your round spine, push your knees together and start to tip your tailbone under and roll back. And now pull your belly button away from the arms, squeeze your thighs, and roll forward. And then sit up nice and tall. We'll do that again. The head comes forward towards the chest. Pull the belly button and the rib cage away from your arms, feeling that little stretch in your low back. Squeeze your knees and push them forward as you tip your tailbone backwards. And now pull the belly button into the spine and curl your body forward. Sit up tall again. Do that one more time. Let the chin fall to your chest. Round your body forward by pulling the belly button backwards. There's the opposition that I mentioned. Now squeeze your knees. You push the knees forward as you pull your belly button backwards, and that is what gives you the rounding back. Squeeze the knees and pull your body forward. Now sit up nice and tall again. Shake the back out a little bit. We're going to do two more things seated in a similar fashion. So as you saw, we were able to round the spine and roll back, moving the hips to move the spine. Now we're going to do the same thing with the flat back. So you can keep your arms next to the chair, or you can challenge yourself a little bit and cross your hands over your chest. So sitting tall, wherever you go, with the arms down or the arms up, with that long spine, now you want to hinge at your hips. So instead of rounding, you're gonna keep the back flat and go back and come back up. This gets more challenging. Now sit up nice and tall, squeeze your knees together, hinge your pelvis away from your thighs, hold the waistline in, and now hinge your body forward. A little harder than being round. Sit up tall, squeeze your knees together, shoulders are down on your back, and hinge your body back. And then hinge your body forward. We'll do that one more time. Sit up nice and tall, hinge your body back, and hinge your body forward. Now relax the body a little bit and just round down, reach down, just stretch the back a little bit. And as you push through the feet and knees, roll your spine back up to seated. And we'll do one more thing with the same kind of sitting position here. I'm gonna do this standing. You'll be able to see me just a little bit better. We're gonna do a little side bend. One of the things we don't do a lot is open that connection between the rib cage and your hips. Anybody feel tight through there ever? Yeah, a lot, me too. So sitting as tall as you can, press your knees together. Now listen to your body. If it doesn't feel good to bring your arm over your head, just cross your hands over your chest. So you can go here, or you can take one arm up. So if you're gonna take your arm up, the other arm will cross over the waist, reach the fingertips up to the sky, and then pull across. And if you have your arms crossed, as you lean, try to push your right shoulder down and lift your right or left shoulder and rib cage away from the hips. And if your arms are healthy enough, taking that up, you increase the stretch. Now come back up. Sit up nice and tall, lean to the left. Try to open that rib cage, and if your shoulders are healthy enough and allow you to, you can bring the arm over the head. And notice how that connects all the way down to the hip. Feels pretty good. Come back up. We go again. Add a breath. Inhale. Now use the breath to stretch. Exhale, reach across the body. Inhale the body up. Exhale, bring the arm down. Big breath in. Now when you take the body over to the left, try to push that right hip down a little bit. So if you push the hip down, you get more stretch. Come back up. We'll do that one more time each way. Big breath in. Lean to the right and pull that left rib cage away from your hip. Come back up to the middle. One more time. Big breath in. Exhale, lean to the left, stretch, and then come back up. Reach your arms down and just roll forward over the legs to stretch your back a little bit. And then roll your spines back up. So that's a lot of things that we can do for the upper body. We're gonna do a few things for the lower body because Pilates is full body. So when you start to move the lower body, you still wanna keep your upper body strong and stable. So we're gonna do that same nice squeeze of the hips a little bit, press through the arms, and as you're sitting tall, lift one knee up and press it down. Go the other side, lift it up and press it down. Try to stay tall with your spine as you go. So as you lift that knee, try not to lean back to do it. So you want to think about the spine's going to go up to lift my knee up. The spine goes up to lift my knee up. There you go, everybody. Good. Let's do one more each way. Lift your spine to lift your knee. Lift your spine, lift your knee. Now, we're going to advance that just a little bit. This will get even harder. So keeping the spine long by lifting, now lift your knee up and see if you can straighten the leg in front of you, bend the knee, and put it back down. My client over here, Beth, is like, dang it, I just did this Friday. Sit up nice and tall, and you can lift a knee, extend it out, bend it, and set it down. Can't see me back there? Lift a knee, straighten the knee, bend the knee, and bring it down, all while trying to keep that spine straight. Pull in, reach out, bend in, and down. One more each. Lift, extend, bend in, bring it down. One more time. Take your spine up as the knee comes up, and down. So that was two almost identical exercises, just with the leg extension on the second one, and maybe some of you felt how much harder it was to extend that leg out there. The stomach and the core had to work a little harder. Let's do another thing. If you want to try this standing, feel free if you have good balance. If you prefer to do it seated, we can do it seated. So I will show you a seated version, and then I'll show you the standing version. So sitting nice and tall, you can kind of hold the edge of the chair a little bit. One foot will extend out in front of you. Just have the heel pressing into the ground. Now keep your spine tall and just slide the heel to the side. Feel the outer part of your hips. So you're basically just going to slide the leg to the side. And now you're going to slide that leg back to the middle. Feel the outer hip and thigh push the leg to the side, and then pull the leg back to the middle. Now to keep your body stable, think about using your abdominals to bring that leg back into the middle. So as you sit tall, you slide the leg to the side. Now pull the belly button in to help bring that leg back to the middle. Let's go 2 more. Slide to the side. Pull it to the center. 1 more time, slide to the side and pull it to the center. Now bring that knee in. We'll do 5 on the other side. Push your other heel forward. We have to keep it balanced after all. We're going for balance. Now sit nice and tall. Slide the heel to the side and then pull the heel back to the middle. So we use the outer thigh and hip, and we pull with that inner thigh and the waistline. Slide to the side, pull to the middle. I've lost count. Slide to the side. It's hard to count to 3, let alone 5. Let's do 1 more. Slide to the side and slide to the center. Now when you're seated, that's a little easier to keep your body upright. If anybody wants to try standing, feel free. You can also, if you want to try this standing, you can also use the chair for a little bit of balance as well. So one of the interesting things about balance with bodies, and we're not talking about just being able to balance on one leg, we're talking about the internal balance of the body. My body is in a long column here. If I want to take my arm or my leg to the side, the body has to compensate, otherwise I'm going to pull my whole body off kilter. So I can counterbalance by taking a leg to the side and taking my whole body to the side, but that's not really conducive to moving around through life. So if I want to take my leg to the side, I take my spine upward to take the leg to the side so I don't have to take my body to the side to counterbalance that leg going out. So I'm not suggesting you take your leg that far out. Standing tall. If you choose to stand, if you want to sit, you can sit. If you want to use the chair in front of you, the chair in front of you. You're just fine back, you're just fine. Okay, so belly button is pulling into the spine. Now the leg that you are going to stand on, let's everybody take the right leg to the side. So your standing leg has to work really hard. Hands can go on the hips, they can cross your chest wherever you feel more comfortable. Lift tall, push through the left leg and take your right leg to the side. And then bring the leg back in. Stand tall, bring the leg to the side, and then bring it in. Everybody's doing pretty good. Take your spine up and in. Now shift your weight over to the left or to the right leg. This is why I don't know my directions. Stand nice and tall, push through the right leg and take your left leg open and pull in. Grow tall through the spine and bring it back. We'll do 1 more. Grow tall and bring it back. Very nice. All right, everybody go ahead and have a seat. We're going to do just a little more discussion about the feet. We've kind of gone head to toe. So feet and hands are very important. Spreading the fingers, spreading the toes. I know everybody's got shoes on. I'm not suggesting you take off your shoes. But if you do this with your feet and your hands, that will help keep your hands active. If you have arthritic situations like I do in my thumbs, it will actually help keep that open a little better. Same thing with your feet. Your feet are how you connect to the ground. So spreading the toes, making a fist with the toes, even trying to lift your toes one at a time and do your fingers one at a time are great ways to keep muscle movement and keep the body moving. A lot of people end up putting their feet in shoes. I got shoes on today. I really wish I could be barefoot, but it's still 30 out. So take care of your feet as well. As we age, our feet become more stiff, and that can lend to balance issues. It can also lend to all sorts of other issues migrating up into the body and creating restrictions and things of that nature. So no part left behind with Pilates. Unfortunately, we can't go through every single little detail today, but thank you for coming this morning. Thank you for moving with me. Yes.
Yeah, question and answer.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, if anybody has questions and answers, feel free.
Well, what's the difference between physical therapy and Pilates, and how do the Pilates instructors know and understand so many physical pains?
So
injuries?
physical therapy has a much different training process. Most physical therapists will be either master's degrees or PhDs with their education. So they have a lot more technical know-how, and they go through a lot more anatomy and physiology and things like that. Our Pilates instructors, we're trained through our studio, of course, and a lot of our training comes before we start teaching clients, and we get a lot of education on how to handle certain injuries, certain body issues, certain misalignments, and we focus on putting the body in the best alignment that we can based on who we have in front of us. So we are not physical therapists, but what I would say is a little different between physical therapy and Pilates. Many times physical therapists will receive a prescription for a shoulder issue. They're only going to work the shoulder. They'll give you exercises to work the shoulder. They'll help rehab the shoulder, but they don't necessarily tie it into full body movement. Whereas us as Pilates instructors, I don't have all the technical wizardry and the PhD behind my name, but I know enough about shoulders that I can keep people's shoulders safe and healthy and happy, and I understand about the alignment. So when I teach them, I give that body what it needs, as opposed to, all right, everybody, raise your arms. Just like today, some people can't take their arms over their shoulders. Other people have mobility with their shoulders, and that allows them to do that with the arms. So it's really teaching the body in front of us. I'm going to brag on Beth here just a little bit. Beth is one of my clients that I've been seeing for almost a year and a half, probably. And she came to me. Can I tell your age?
Yeah.
She came to me, and the very first lesson that I had with her, we were talking and I was explaining some things, and she had some serious hip issues with her left hip, bone on bone, had been in a lot of pain for a long time. And she was referred by somebody that I had worked with for a long time. And she's like, well, this and this and this, and we're talking about things. And I made the comment, I said, well, sometimes when we get a little bit older, things have worn down a little bit. She goes, well, how old do you think I am? I said, I don't know, mid-70s. She goes, I'm 88 years old. And I was like, what? So I think Beth can attest to this. When we first started working together, she was like, are we even doing anything? We do 3 to 5 reps of everything. But then eventually, she'd feel better after the lesson. She'd come back and still didn't realize what was happening. And then she kept coming and kept coming. And then we saw her through a hip replacement, a double hip replacement, actually in November. And you love Pilates now. It's one of those things. She looks forward to coming. Yeah, can't live without it. It has impacted her life and helped her rehab from a double hip replacement. That's both of them being done at the same time. Like, that is intense. So I've worked with people that are as young as 12 and as old as 89, and every physical body on the planet can use Pilates, in my opinion. We do have physical therapists that will refer clients to our studio as well, because they know that we will take care of whatever their injury or issue is with their body. I'm not just going to teach everybody the same way. Hopefully that answers your question in a long roundabout way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any questions about anything? Yes.
Do you use these machines in your studio, and how soon do you go on to the machines?
Well, it depends again on the body. We do have a full service studio, so we've got 2 Cadillacs, 5 reformers, 2 wall units, 2 wonder chairs, an electric chair, 2 barrels, a bunch of spine correctors. We have all sorts of I haven't done anything weird. Full service studio. Some people, like when I first started seeing Beth, we did mostly stuff on the Cadillac without using a lot of heavy springs until I was able to teach her to connect better with her core muscles. When I first saw her, she had some issues getting on the reformer, and it bothered her hip dramatically. So we left that out of the mix for a while. But now she's like, I want to get on that reformer. I want to do this, that, and the other, because we have made sure that her body can handle that. So some people we put on the reformer right away. Some people, they may never see the reformer. It just depends on where they are. We also had a client for a number of years at the studio who developed ALS. And as she started to deteriorate and got to the point where she was no longer mobile on her own, her caretakers would wheel her in, they would lift her off the table or off her chair and put her on the Cadillac, and then our instructor, Elizabeth, would actually move her body through good ranges of motion and basically give her a Pilates lesson, but manually moving her body to keep the joints and the muscles and everything as supple as possible, considering the disease that she was facing. So everybody's a little bit different, and everybody gets that personalized treatment if you do private lessons. We do offer some small group classes. We offer mat classes that will have more people in it. We do offer spring-based classes as well, where there are limited to 4 people. So you still get some fairly personalized attention that way. But for the most part, our studio is private sessions, and that's really the best way. Because your body is different from her body and his body and my body, and everybody needs a little something different. Anybody else have any questions on anything? Anybody? Yes?
Do you have any thoughts on the difference between yoga and Pilates?
Oh, yes. Everybody thinks Pilates is yoga. It is not. There are a lot of similar trends and similar concepts. What I would say about movement in general, as we've talked, we're mechanical. We have pieces and parts, and we can only make so many shapes with those pieces and parts. So there's a lot of similarities with some of the yoga postures and poses that you'll get into with things that you'll do in Pilates. One of the big differences that I feel, not all yoga, but much of yoga is about getting yourself into a posture or a pose, holding it, breathing into it, and increasing the stretch. And again, I know that's not all. There's some yoga that's geared more towards flow and movement. Pilates, all of Pilates, is not about just holding a position. Pilates is to move the body. It's meant to make the body move. Movement heals the body. If we don't move, everything becomes stagnant and stuck. So, and I'm not saying yoga will get you stagnant and stuck. Please don't take that way. But I just feel there's a little bit of a difference with how much we move versus a lot of yoga. Yes?
Can you talk about, I've seen some classes offered Pilates 1, 2 different levels. Can you address the levels and how one would know?
Some of those levels at other studios are unique to that studio. With our studio, as I mentioned, we're a Romana's Pilates studio. We have exercises that are in our system that are considered basic, some are considered intermediate, some are considered advanced. And the way we are trained is to teach the body in front of us and choose the exercises that are appropriate for that person. So even if you're super able-bodied and healthy when you first come in, you're still going to get basic lessons to make sure that you can do those things before we introduce anything more advanced. There are 3 Pilates studios in Champaign-Urbana that I know of. There's our studio, which we are Romana's Pilates based. There's a studio in Savoy. It's called Ascend Pilates. A lady by the name of Noelle Chase owns that studio. She was actually trained in our studio and branched off about 14 years ago to open her own space. In that time, she has branched off into some other styles of Pilates and things like that. So I don't know if she talks about levels or not. And then there's Club Pilates that has opened in town as of about maybe 2 years ago, 1.5 or 2 years ago. And Club Pilates is, I would say, less training involved from their staff. They're basically all going to be group classes. They're running people through workouts. Their system, I couldn't tell you anything about it as far as what their requirements are to, move you from 1 to 1.5 or 2 or whatever their system is. And that's the other very confusing thing with Pilates. As I mentioned, there's a dozen or more different styles of Pilates. The lady who taught me to teach, she branched off from Romana's Pilates and started her own training program a couple years ago. And because of that, there is the principles that Joseph Pilates taught and his concepts, but then everybody else can change and kind of make it what they want to with it. The one thing that I didn't mention with the history of Pilates is there was a copyright lawsuit between Romana's Pilates and trying to copyright the name Pilates so that you knew if you got Pilates, it was in fact what Joseph Pilates intended. Copyright lawsuit was lost, saying it's a man's name. He didn't even call it Pilates. He called it Contrology. So because everybody else called it Pilates, they're like, you cannot copyright that. So because of that, there is a big wide variety of what you will get. So do your due diligence. That being said, I would suggest that if it's a studio that does not offer private lessons, you probably don't want to go unless you know your body and know that you can keep yourself safe in a group class setting. Again, not to discount anybody else and what they do, but ultimately we are in control of our own bodies, and connecting deeper into self also will allow you to listen to your body and know, is this good for my body or is this not good for my body? And what's good for my body might not be good for your body based on, whatever injuries or whatever has made up your life versus my life. So, anybody else with questions? Anybody? Yes?
How do you go from absolutely nothing, being a total whim, every part of you, into starting out?
You know what? Everybody had a day one, myself included. And so we break it down. We have much of the exercises that we did together today are what we call, I'm not a big fan of this word, pre-Pilates. I like to think of it more as foundational Pilates. Every exercise that you do can be broken down into little teeny tiny pieces. Just sitting up and turning the head, that can be a lot for some people. Maybe some people that's not enough of a workout for, so then you would advance them a little bit faster. Also, after you start teaching for a while, I can't help it, I watch people. I watch how they move, I watch how they walk, I watch how they carry themselves, and I'm like, oh, you need this, blah, 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 blah. That's just how my brain works now. So, kind of one of those things. Beth, how did you feel when you first started with your core?
I did want to make one comment too. When I started, I had to drive half an hour to get to class, and I'd say, oh, I'm so tired. Maybe I should have canceled today. But I already had an appointment, so I went, and I would come out so energized. It was amazing to me.
And standing up straight.
And yes, yeah, oh yeah, I felt the core was doing something. And so I don't want to stop going. Every week I learn something and feel better, able to do more. And I'm not 88, I'm going to be 90 at the end of September. Just to get
Well, I met her when she was 88, so.
Right.
And you know what she told me? She said, well, I'm going to do a double hip replacement. Because what am I going to do the next one in 10 years? I'm like, maybe. I would say our studio, our goal for all of our clients is to help them feel better when they walk out of the door than when they walked in the door. And so far, thumbs up on that one. Any other questions from anybody? Thank you so much for coming, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Pull your stomachs in, squeeze your seats, stand up nice and tall. And maybe I'll see some of you again. I know I'll see you guys again one day, and I'll see you on Friday. Thank you, everybody.